Hello and welcome to the Cyber1 YouTube channel. My name is Ray, and in this video, part 14 of Fred's left hand, we're going to continue with setting up this left hand. Now, after about a week of tracing and trying to figure out why I couldn't get control signals to come up from the hand, I discovered the problem was I hadn't hooked up power for the I2C devices on my left hand. This has been a frustrating experience trying to find this one because I was able to confirm that all the servos in the head were working and the shoulders were working. So this back TCA9685. But every time I tried to do something with the left hand, I was having a complete failure in the I2C bus. I traced all of the I2C bus wires several times, with the exception of power. I tried to trace those power wires back to this board, but I didn't actually check to make sure the board was powered. So it was being set up to run on 5 volt, whereas the other two PCA9685s are being run on 3.3 volt. And the reason I was setting up the I2C bus going down the left hand to run on 5 volt was because the finger sensors themselves, the Hall effect sensors, work in the range of 4.5 to 6 volts. So it makes sense to run them at the 5 volt instead of the 3.3 volt. During early testing, I was finding I was getting a result back at 3.3 volts, but it's now got a fair bit of cable involved. There's a lot of other devices hanging off that same wire for supply. So I didn't want to push that friendship. But during the installation, I simply forgot to add the 5 volt to that board. So I'm going to have to pull the back cover off again, which is most annoying, and wire that up. So we'll do that today. This cable, by the way, is just for the speakers so that it can talk. Now, it'd probably be smart if I actually shut this down first. Okay, so the power is now off. Okay, so I know that this cable here has 5 volts in it. And I'm going to use that to get to my 5 volts. This is where my 5 volts is. Currently I'm sending 5 volts from a small switch mode power supply down here. This is a buck boost power supply. And it's feeding power down this cable, which goes to the back Raspberry Pi. I may yet change that and send the full 20 volts down there and put a local switch mode power supply in. But for now, I'm just going to tap into this anyway. I'm going to have to remake this joint. Are you kidding? I did too. I didn't hook up my power wire in the edge. I'll have to find what happened to that screw. I dropped it, I think. In any case, I should be in a position where I can power back up. Okay, looks like the Raspberry Pi is firing back up. I've already got one network connection point here. I'm seeing lights on the network switch. The Raspberry Pi, the PCA9685 down here is powered by the Raspberry Pi's 3.3 volts, so it's running. And I have a red light down in the forearm. Now, during debugging, I did disconnect the wires down to the fingers, and I will plug that back in. But the first thing I want to do is get the servos working. Right, let's change to desktop view. Okay, so this is a VNC connection into the Raspberry Pi in Fred's head. So what we're going to do is first off launch a terminal window. Now, a lot of people think just double clicking on the file is enough to get things running. It's not always the best way of doing things. It doesn't really give you a good way to abort if everything crashes completely, which has been known to happen. And after it stops, you can get some information out of the terminal window once My Robot Lab stops as well. So CD, I'm going to select the window, CD MRL .1.1. I'm going to run 193 because I know I've had it working with that. The latest release at the time of recording is 943, I think it is. If I open this up, if I open the right window, 943 is the latest at this moment, although there is one getting ready to be released shortly. Dot My Robot Lab .sh shell. Okay, so the eventual goal here is to actually get this working under the Inmoov 2 system, but the Inmoov 2 system is expecting the Nervo boards to be present, and I currently don't have Nervo boards installed. So the workaround for that is to go to runtime. We need the Raspberry Pi, start that service. Now we have the I2C mux in there, the TCA, I've forgotten the rest of the numbers. It's called I2C mux in My Robot Lab, and we'll call it the same thing here. It's a 8-channel multiplexer. Now Raspberry Pi, we don't have to configure anything. It's connected directly to the computer that's running My Robot Lab. But the I2C mux is connected via the I2C bus. So we need to set its address. And if you remember from previous videos, we set it to 71 in hardware. It's on bus 1 on the Raspberry Pi. And we're selecting the Raspberry Pi as our controller. And we attach. Once that's attached, we can create the 3 PCA9685 servo driver entries. So we go back to runtime. Let's do the head first. And this is an Adafruit 16C servo driver. We'll start that service. We'll go to the head. It's on address 40, but in this case it will be bus 0, and we are using the I2C Mux as the controller. We can attach. Runtime. We have another controller on the back. Start that service. In this case, it's set for address 41 because I had previously on the same bus as the head. It is on bus 1 this time, and I2C Mux is now the controller, and we'll attach that. And now we have one in the left arm. It's in the forearm. Header through. Start that service. It's on address 40 because I haven't changed its address. This time it'll be on bus 2. And again, we're using the I2C Mux and attach. Now they're the important ones that we need to be aware of. So now we can go back to intro. Click on the thumbnail, the fingerprint. Does take a little bit of time to work. Now in this case, we're wanting to work with the left arm to run those servos. I haven't plugged that bicep back in, and that's because I haven't actually hooked it back up physically yet. So we're going to connect the arm for a start anyway. So we'll go to arm and we'll start the left arm. Then we can click on the little gear to configure it. So the left bicep, in this case, will be, I wonder why that's on 8. We'll detach. That's on 6, and it's on the left hand, and then we can attach. Now it's not going to do anything at the moment because I've physically got it unplugged. I haven't got the top cover on the forearm, and so I've got the bicep servo disconnected from it. If it attempted to move that bicep servo with that cover off and not connected, it won't get feedback from the potentiometer that senses its position, and it will actually break something. So I am not going to hook that up until I put that forearm back on. And you'll see that connection is just here. It's a safety precaution to have it pulled disconnected whenever you disconnect the forearm from the bicep. All right, so let's also, I have got the other servos to connect up, but I haven't got their numbers on hand, so we'll come back to that. What I will do is go back to I/O. Let's go to the head. Actually, let's go to the hand. We'll start the left hand. For this, move that to where you can see it. Let's configure the left hand. So let's start with the thumb. Control, then detach. Here we're connected to left. and I'm connecting it to 0. So we will attach that back to basic. That's working. I'm going to go to limits. Set that as my upper limit. And that's our thumb working. Now this is working using the Inmoov 2 services, which is a major advantage for a thread compared to the past. All I have to do now is go through and do all of the other fingers. So for the index finger, go to Control, make sure it's detached. In this case, it'll be on pin 1, and we're using the left. Attach that, back to basic. At our limits. Bit hard to see my limits there at the moment. It's a little bit better. I'll change that size now. I know how to do this now. That's better. Okay, so I'm moving the limits down. You'll see the bottom bar here moves as we adjust these limits. So I'm just bringing it down to where it is at the moment, 138. And then we can slide this all the way down to fully open. There's a roundabout there. And we can bring the minimum back up to where that is. So now, that seems to work quite well. Control, detach, and 2, left, attach, basic, okay, so this is an inverted servo. We go back to control, select inverted, that's all the way. I think we found another bug. I might hardware change that to be non-inverted. So to do that, we connect it to the other side of the pulley and run it that way. And I'll have a look at that bug and see if I can trace through where that's coming from. Alright, let's have a look at the ring finger. It's probably inverted as well. So detach. left hand, thumb, index, major, ring. Yep, it's inverted as well. Yeah, that was still a bug in that inversion. Alright, I will pass that one on to Grog and see what he can come up with for that one. Pinky is going to be the same. We'll go to control, detach, it'll be 4 on the left hand. Detach, back to basic, and exactly the same, an inverted signal. So we might work around this bug by changing the direction it falls on the servo. We're lucky in as much as we can do that because we're using the original servo bed. It's not that difficult to do. So I'll do that. Rest is our next one. So with the rest, attach, it's on 5, left hand, and attach. That appears to be working. So that's not too bad. We've got 3 that we need to rearrange our pulleys so we can go non-inverted. Other than that, it's working. I will put the forearm back together and connect it up so that I can use the bicep, and that'll be handy. I'll get all of my numbers for the forearm, oh sorry, for the shoulder, so I can get all the shoulder joints working. Do the same for the head, and we'll connect all those up. So this video's gone on for quite a while now, so I'll leave it at that. If you like these videos, don't forget to click on like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. It's a form of support that helps the channel a great deal and costs you absolutely nothing. If you'd like to help the channel further, I do have a Patreon account, and you can join my long-term Patreons, Go Lucky and Lorenz Berger, both VIPs, and my builder Patreon, Elmorels45. Fred has his counterpart, Fred Online, running on Discord, and you can go into the Discord server and have a chat with him if you like. You'll find links for both Patreon and Discord in the description below. And we'll see you in the next video.